Let me ask you, how many people here have ever flown Southwest Airlines? Okay, I love those people. I mean, you talk about people who are funny. They're always doing things that are just kind of cool, you know, and they just, you know, are unique. Let me ask you this, how many people have ever flown in or out of San Diego? Of all the flying I do, I hate flying in there more than anything else, because you come out of the mountains and you're right on top of those buildings. You think you could stick your foot out and kick one of those skyscrapers. It just drives me nuts. And then you go off and you take off, and you usually take off over the water. Well, not long ago, there was a Southwest plane that was leaving San Diego, and everybody was on board, but the pilot and the co-pilot weren't there. And people are waiting and waiting, and finally, after about 15 minutes, in walks the pilot and the co-pilot, both dressed in their blue uniforms, both wearing dark sunglasses, the pilot with a white walking cane, and the co-pilot with a lead dog. And everybody in first class laughed and thought, oh my God, there's no end to the things they'll do to make us laugh. And they giggled and they just roared and thought that was really funny. Until about 10 minutes later, the head stewardess went up and shut the door of the airplane. Now everybody's looking at each other, you know, wondering, why wasn't the dog taken off the plane? Do they put those lion guide dogs up in the cockpit like that, or you know what? And you know how people feed when you get stressed. They start really worrying, you know, and they're getting nervous and tense, and everybody feeds off each other's tense and tension. And all of a sudden they back away from the ramp, and they're really starting to boil. They get out on the runway and they get into position, and now they're just really about ready to go into a full panic. And all of a sudden that jet takes off down the runway, and as it's going down the runway, about halfway down, all of a sudden the people look out the window and they see the water coming at them in the bay in perfect unison. They all started screaming. And just as they started screaming, the plane lifted off the runway and ascended into the heavens. And everybody thought, oh my gosh, we got all excited about nothing. You know, that just must be the way they transport those dogs. Not knowing that in the cockpit, the blind pilot turned to the blind co-pilot and said, you know, George, one of these days they're not going to scream soon enough and we're going to crash.